A warm welcome to our favourite guest. It's Dial a Dame. So this is Dame Andrea Jenkyns, Reform UK Mayor for Greater Lincolnshire. And I want you to get on the phone. You can ask Andrea, well, pretty much anything you like. 03444991000. But by way, welcome Andrea, by the way, by way of steering the ship, as it were, let's run through a couple of topics that I wanted to personally ask you about. First of all, your feeling about the Tory chairman Kevin Hollingworth's rather juvenile Reform Nazi jibe, comparing the new Reform logo to a Nazi swastika badge. Kemi Badenoch says, oh, Kev was just being funny. It's just a bit of humour. Well, I don't think it is funny. I don't think the Nazis are a funny subject for a start. You know, various stories have distanced themselves from Kevin. I think this requires A, an apology from Kevin Hollingworth, and B, a more serious response from Kemi Badenoch, who loves to talk about people being serious or not serious. This is not serious, Kemi, and what is not serious is your response saying, oh, it's just Kev having a little joke. Not good enough.
No, I completely agree with you, Kevin. I mean, look, I've known Kevin Hollingworth since 2015. We both got elected at the same time into Parliament, and he was one of the big Remainers who did actually look down on us Brexiteers, so it doesn't surprise me, the comments. But, you know, is that what he thought of me all along? You start questioning all the... I was his whip as well, actually, Kevin. I was his whip for a while. And it's just appalling, and it's trivialising the Holocaust, isn't it? And what Hitler did to the Jewish people. And so... you know, how dare he, and how dare Kemi actually trivialise it and say it's a joke? It's not a laughing matter, is it?
Well, exactly. And of course, Suella Braverman, former Home Secretary, to her credit, still a Tory MP, senior Tory MP, she said comparing Reform and their supporters to Nazis is wrong, irresponsible and highly counterproductive. Kevin does not speak for me. James Cleverly, the Shadow Housing Secretary, was on Talk this morning, on Talk Breakfast, and he told Mark Dolan, you know, he distanced himself from the comments and said that's not what I would have said. So the Tories all basically saying that what Hollingworth did is wrong. I think it requires an apology from him and a far more serious response from Kemi Badenoch. But
knowing Kevin as I do, look, I remember him saying to me before the general election and when there was reshuffles, etc., if he didn't keep his ministerial role, he will step down. So with him, it's always been about the position of power, Kevin. It's not been about his constituents. And so I'd really, you know, question the fact that he didn't delete it. You know, is Kemi part of this?
I don't know.
I mean, he is the chairman. He is the chairman. And the fact that, I mean, he deleted it initially, then put it back on again. Who told him to put it back on again?
Yeah, they got form. They've got form. Yeah, that's right. He did delete it for a while, and they've got form for this, haven't they? Did
you see his retweet as well? He retweeted somebody saying about people not having any sense of humour and that it was a joke. And look at the context of it. But the context, what, Jewish people getting murdered by Hitler and the Nazis, and actually, you know, a Western political party like ours, which is ahead in the polls, saying that we are like Nazis, it's abhorrent. And there's no wonder that they are hemorrhaging votes.
Exactly right. And they've got, don't forget, Peter Kyle did this, didn't he, recently, trying to smear Nigel Farage by suggesting that somehow he was an apologist for Jimmy Savile. Absolutely outrageous. This is what the Tories are doing.
But it doesn't show you the uni party, though, Kevin. They've both got the same attack lines, Labour and Conservative.
It's sleaze. It's sleaze. It really is. A quick comment from you, if you don't mind, also, Andrew. We've got some calls lined up. We'll get to those in just a second. This nonsense, in my view, of maybe Nigel Farage said some nasty things in the playground 50 years ago, 49 years ago at Dulwich College. Only in the last hour or so, one of his former school friends, a Jewish guy called Peter Etuji, has come out and said that Farage repeatedly told him Hitler was right and gassed them and made noises like that. He basically says that this is a man who has power, influence, has had a massive impact on the direction of this country, but he is being fundamentally dishonest in everything he says there, so I feel upset and angry about it. Well, look, you know, I'm sorry that Peter Atiji still feels upset after 50 years of what happened in the playground. But really, is this the level we're going to be at? That we're going to have a go at a guy who's 61 years old for something he may or may not have done when he was 13? I was thinking about some of the things I probably did in the playground. They're probably even worse than that. You know, kids are kids, aren't they?
No, but I mean, also the fact is Nigel denies it. I mean, I've had chats with Nigel, and you know, he is very pro-Israel, pro the Jewish community. I was on the board meeting last week where he was talking about setting up groups to support the Jewish community, you know, like the equivalent of Reform Friends of Israel, etc. So it just feels a load of rubbish. The Nigel that I know is not like that. And I just find it quite remarkable. It's 50 years later and people coming out the woodwork. It's been in the political eye, hasn't he? In the public eye for 30 years. They're only coming out now as he's getting nearer to number 10. And I find that quite remarkable, actually.
Yeah, I mean, 50 years ago, come on. He was a kid. He's 61 now. I just think we've got to grow up about all of this. Now, just a quick last question before we go to the calls, Andrea. Yeah. Pauline Hanson, the Australian senator, who is calling for a banning of the burqa in Australia in order to sort of theatrically make her point, she walked into the Senate, the Australian Parliament, with a very serious all-over burqa, one of those ones where you can't see a thing. Yeah. She's done that a couple of times. She's now been suspended.
As Boris called it, the letterbox.
Yeah, the letterbox, yeah. Well, she's now been suspended from Parliament in Australia for a week. Do you think, though, that we should ban the burqa here in Britain?
Yeah. I mean, look, I wouldn't have necessarily done it in that way, but I've been saying about banning the burqa for years. I actually defended Boris's article all those years ago. And there's some public article out there, I think it was on Westminster, where I defended Boris. And I do, because it's, number one, it's the security aspect. But also, you know, joint number one really is women. We are a westernized society. What people do behind closed doors, it's up to them. But I genuinely feel that, you know, women are second-class citizens and they should be able to wear what they want. And so I am a proponent of it.
Yeah, well, I agree. I made my point very clear. I'm uncomfortable about the idea of telling women what they can and cannot wear. Too. But I do think we have to make a stand on this, because what does the burqa denote when it comes to women? It denotes that they're second-class citizens. And I'm not
exactly. And when you look at Iraq and Iran, what the women was like, you know, what in the 70s, they was very westernized, and look at them today. And so look at the poor Iran women today, the life that they lead. They are second-class citizens. So surely, as a Western country, we should be making a stand for these women.
Couldn't agree with you more. Right, let's go to the phones. Dial a dame. We've got lots of calls for you. And the first one, Andrea, is from Karen in Bournemouth. Welcome to the show, Karen. What would you like to ask Andrea?
Hi, Kevin. Hi, Andrea.
Hello.
Hello. I was a bit worried about this whole thing about this puberty blockers trials.
Oh, yes.
So I did a bit of research this afternoon. And I don't know much about research. It's not my speciality or anything. But the trial's going to cost 10.7 million. It's being funded by NHS England, which we were told was being abolished.
Yeah, whatever happened to that? You're right. Good point.
But the thing that worries me is that the research focus of the leader of this thing is causes and interventions for co-occurring mental health conditions in autism and ADHD and intellectual disability. Now, that sounds an awful lot like Tavistock to me, but the other thing that really worried me is that Stonewall's involved in it all.
Oh gosh.
Yeah. And can I just make a point here, Karen? I would ask the same question that you're asking, but I just want to say that I find it absolutely jaw-dropping that the NHS, that the government is sponsoring this, is backing this, that we are going to perform chemical experiments on 226 children. It's pharmaceutical mutilation, if you ask me. The idea is, oh, we'll try these puberty blockers. We've tried them once before and we banned them. Last December, West Streeting, the health secretary, said, we're not going to do this anymore. If kids say they're not sure what body they were born in, if they got alleged gender dysphoria, we're not going to give them these drugs that will affect them for the rest of their lives. Suddenly, now we're going to perform experiments on 226 children. What do you think, Andrea?
Well, it's state-sponsored child mutilation, isn't it? And do you remember, I remember even in David Cameron's government, we was going strong opposing child mutilation, you know, forcing them to, young girls to have that operation on religious grounds, etc. But we are doing this with British children, and it's wrong. And I didn't realise actually about what you said about autism and ADHD. Look, I've got ADHD, my son has. But a child should never be an experiment. And why are we doing this full stop? Because to me, any child should not be having mutilation, hormone blockers. Yeah, I'd wait until there was 21 at least, where, you know, they got the maturity to make these decisions. What people do as adults, I don't care, be happy, but leave the children alone.
You give a little kid puberty blockers, and then they will never be the same again. It will change them for the rest of their lives. And the idea of this experiment, as you were saying, Karen, is to try to find out what psychological and physical effects puberty blockers may have on children going forward. And in order to find this out, we're going to take 226 kids and use them as guinea pigs.
And some as young as 10 as well.
That is, to me, that is extraordinary. It's extraordinary. Are they serious?
It's sick, isn't it? It is sick.
Yeah, Karen, what do you feel?
Well, the thing is, they're not telling us anything about Stonewall. The woman that's leading it, I find, is a bit dodgy in the psychiatric genetics at Harvard Medical School. So she's all into medicating children of all sorts of types. Yeah. But they're not mentioning the fact there's another pathways.
Yeah, well, the pathways experiment is what we're talking about. It's for King's College.
But can I come in here as well, though? Don't forget that it was the Conservative government who brought Stonewall in. And, you know, I thought back on the stuff children was being taught at schools as well, the sex education stuff. But all this happened, didn't it, under a Conservative government initially? Yeah. And
well,
so, they cannot come out now and cry wolf. That's what I think. Yeah, and the thing is also why have they not mentioned that Stonewall's very involved in it all?
Yeah, well, I mean, the thing about, Stonewall always, raises alarm bells when you hear their involvement. But look, this is hard and fast. 226 kids are going to get experimented upon. Yeah. And that cannot be. It doesn't really matter that much about Stonewall. It's going to happen. And that is not right. We have to stop that. What are the parents thinking?
Yeah, what consultation do the parents have as well?
Well, the other thing that I found, I couldn't find confirmation of it, but somebody had said that they were also looking at children in care. Well, you think about the children in care and the grooming gangs; they weren't protected there, were they? Well,
I tell you what, Karen. I just think this is an utter scandal. I can't imagine what West Streeting thinks he's doing. When he said we're not going to give puberty blockers to kids anymore last December, he said except of course in clinical research experiments. Well, this is one such experiment. 226 kids. What about them? What about them? Leave them alone. It's a disgrace. It's an absolute disgrace. What sort of country is this?
Well, it's becoming a disgusting country, to be honest.
I think you might be right, yeah.
Yeah, and just one other thing on the lighter side, because I'm sure that if there's a way to stop it, you'll find a way, Andrea, because I know you're a bit stubborn.
Oh, Andrea, stop it. Don't worry about that. I'm going to make her stop it. Karen, listen, thank you for an excellent call. Got to move on, but thank you. Karen in Bournemouth making a very good point. Here's another question. This is one of my excellent callers. This is Herbie in Harrow. Hi, Herbie. What would you like to ask Andrea?
Oh, Kevin, where do we start?
Yeah. Herbie's always exasperated, but then again, aren't we all?
Oh, my goodness. Listen, we're doomed, we're finished. The country's at rock bottom. Kevin, I cannot believe we are finished. It's just beyond belief what's going on. You know, I can't believe we've got the backstabbers now, you know, going for the political leaders and things like that. Look, we all change in time. As you know, when we're kids and teenagers, we do silly things, but we grow up. I hope we learn from it. You know, this is what it's all about.
You're talking about Farage 50 years ago.
Yeah.
I mean, I just don't. I mean, I'm a journalist. I get it. I know what they're doing. They're going for cheap headlines. But we're talking about a child. You know, the guy is 61 years old now. We're talking about something he's supposed to have done in the playground 49 years ago. Is it just me, or is that pretty desperate stuff?
No, Kevin, you know, this is what I'm saying. The country's completely in meltdown. It's beyond belief and almost beyond repair if we're not careful. We can't carry on like this. You know, every day there's a crisis going on. There's a dispute going on. Everything is topsy-turvy. For God's sake, we need to start to pick up and start to look at things differently. Stop backstabbing. Look, politics is a dirty business, we know, but we don't need to carry on like this because we get nothing done if this carries on this way, Kevin. It's not possible. You know.
But also, look, I agree with you. But also, let's look at Starmer. He hated the royal family. He wanted to abolish it. Do you remember that article about Starmer? On the files for communists, wasn't he, or something? So, you know, two can play that game. Let's start attacking the Prime Minister as well.
Oh, by the way, let's not forget, since we're still reeling from the useless conclusions of the useless waste of time, waste of money COVID inquiry, that Keir Starmer was leading the calls at that time during the crisis for longer, harder, more extensive lockdowns. Now everybody knows that lockdowns, maybe we shouldn't have had them at all. So just remember about Labour then. If Labour was the government during the COVID crisis, we'd probably still be locked down now. Seriously.
And look how they attacked Boris as well for saying herd immunity.
Yeah, exactly. He was right as well.
Initial reaction, wasn't it?
He was right. Listen, Herbie, good point as always. Got to go to break. Thank you very much, Herbie in Harrow. It's Dial a Dame with Dame Andrea Jenkyns, the Reform UK Greater Lincolnshire Mayor. Before we go back to the phones, Andrea, let me ask you this. A guy called Chris Whitbread, he's the council leader of Epping. The notorious Epping, where the Bell Hotel is full of asylum seekers, one of whom, of course, over the summer sexually assaulted two women, the famous Hadush Kubatu, who of course went to jail, then was accidentally released, is now back in his home country of Eritrea. Or was it Ethiopia? I can't remember. Anyway, he's home. The council leader, Chris Whitbread, has written to Keir Starmer over his crass insensitivity, of plans to send yet more asylum seekers to poor Epping, as well as the notorious Bell Hotel, where there's about 100 of them, all male. There are now new proposals which have earmarked 8 local properties to be procured as houses of multiple occupation. And Chris Whitbread has written to Starmer to say, how much more of this do you expect us to take? I mean, this is a story that's going on all over the country, isn't it? And you have to sympathise with Mr Whitbread. Oh,
completely. And look, the British people's had enough, Kevin, and it's only going to get worse, unfortunately, under the Labour government, isn't it? I just think roll on when we finally get a general election and we can put a stop to this and put the British people first. I mean, people do not feel safe in their communities, but ultimately it's about fairness. Why should the British taxpayer be foot in the bill for somebody who comes here illegally, and British people are struggling. I mean, look, people are dreading what's going to come in the budget this week, aren't they?
Tomorrow, yeah.
Yeah, and so people are struggling as it is, yet they see this happening in their street. It's wrong, Kevin.
It certainly is, and this is a town that has twice gone to court to try and get its hotel, its asylum seeker.
I mean, good on them for fighting it.
Yeah, and now they learn 8 houses, multiple occupations, so that'll work out maybe as many as about 50, 70 more migrants, more asylum seekers. They've had 2 sexual assaults already. You have to sympathise with Mr Whitbread, who just calls these plans crass and insensitive. Let me know what you think, folks. Poor old Epping, 03444991000. It's Dial a Dame. Let's go back to the phones. Andrea, meet Mark from Lincolnshire. Hello, Mark. He's another regular caller. What would you like to ask Dame Andrea?
Did you say Lincolnshire, by the way?
Lincolnshire, yeah, one of your constituents.
Hiya, guys. It was just I wanted to talk about the Nigel Farage thing, this, where he supposedly said 50 years ago. As in so much as, what an absolute load of nonsense. To be honest, I kind of wish Nigel had just come out and basically said, right, so you think I'm racist, now what? Do you think I'm going to go away? Because I'm not. But, the whole concept of this is just crazy, because you're talking about a time that was so long ago now. Yeah. Attitudes were completely different. What we would call racism now was just part of society at the end of the day.
Yeah, but I think more to the point, Mark, he was a child. He was a schoolboy.
Yeah. Well, this is it. I mean, like I said to the producer, whoever I spoke to when I rang up, going back to my childhood, I mean, I'm 51. I grew up, I remember vague parts.
We're the same age, Mark.
Right, well...
I'm a bit older.
Like you, our main childhood was the 80s.
Oh, yeah.
Now, back up in the north...
we had humour then, didn't we? And we had sitcoms and comedies, what you could laugh at, couldn't you? And take the mickey out of each other. Yeah.
Well, absolutely. But the point I want to make, to basically highlight how things have changed and why this is just a non-story for me, back in those days, like in the 80s, there was a local shop. Every town had one of these local shops. And it was an Asian man that ran that local shop. And I can guarantee you 100% of everybody that lived there called that the pea shop. Everybody called it that. Anybody that says they didn't is lying. I mean, the irony was he was actually Indian, but it was quite,
Well, I get your point, Mark, but I do think it's far more relevant. Yes, those were different times. Yes, there were different attitudes that I think largely we wouldn't approve of today. But I think the essence of why this is ridiculous is because Nigel Farage is being vilified for something he may or may not have done in the bloody school playground when he was a child. He's 61 years old now. This is absurd.
The fact that it's coming out now shows it's politically motivated.
Yeah, and
this is the thing.
Yeah, go on.
This guy that's come out and made his statement from his recollection.
Yeah.
What? Seriously? You're seriously trying to make me believe that you can remember clearly something.
Yeah, I tell you that's a bit odd. I tell you, people do not remember things that clearly. I agree with that.
Yeah.
But I'll tell you, and Andrea will understand this. This is what is so. What's the word? Annoying, if you like, about this situation. Whilst Nigel Farage understands the absurdity of it, when people are making vague accusations about Nazism, fascism, the Holocaust, even if you're talking about 50 years ago when he was a kid, if Nigel is not careful, this could blow up in his face. He's in a very difficult situation over something that he doesn't deserve to be in a difficult situation over.
And it's all because he's edging closer to number 10.
Exactly. Yeah. The closer he gets, the worse it's going to get.
It is going to get worse. It'll be on steroids.
Yeah, it's the classic, it's exactly what they were doing with Trump, all this stuff.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah. That's a good analogy. Yeah, they did it to him, and we've got this other story going on today. You know, the game of the opposition parties, the Guardian, the BBC, the Tories, Labour, is to try to ally the Reform UK party to Nazis. So what have we got? Kevin Hollingworth, the Tory chairman, saying, "Oh look, Reform's new logo looks like a Nazi swastika badge." They know exactly what they're doing when they say, "It was just a joke. It was just a joke." It wasn't, was it?
It's drip feeding, isn't it? It's drip feeding. Do the shock factor. Do it so much from all different media and politicians, and then people get used to that rhetoric and start believing. That is the issue. It's calculated.
This will only get worse as we get closer to an election. You know, this will just intensify.
It will get worse, but I think you know, there was a poll today that came out that in the city in London, the support for reform has absolutely surged. So I think the people, they look at this nonsense and they go, I still like what Nigel Farage stands for. I still like what reform stand for, and their rise and rise continues apace. Mark, got to move on. Thanks for a good call as always. Should we have a last call? This is another one of my favourite callers. This is Tarquin from London, who wants to talk about the BBC. It'd be good to get your view on that, Andrea. Hi, Tark. Talk to Dame Andrea.
3, 2. I'm an insomniac. I'm an insomniac. I'm having a.
Hey, you sing it better than me, Tarquin.
Well, actually, I'm going to have to take issue with you there, Andrea. He doesn't. Tarquin, ask a question.
I've just been watching you on Andrea on YouTube. Brilliant. You're like you should have been in ABBA. That was you and sounded like ABBA to me. Well done, girl.
It was brilliant.
I
liked
sing
it.
ABBA, by the way. I do like ABBA. Yeah,
really
that's why
good.
I like the
Do album.
catsuits.
Anyway, back to your question, Kevin. What I was really peeved me off earlier on, you always get my brain, my grey matter go, you do, because you're so brilliant.
I know.
Was about that BBC thing about that Shah character. Is he the BBC chairman?
Yeah, he's the chairman, yeah.
Yeah. And you sort of asked the rhetorical question of, you know, why was he trying to keep Tim Davie and of all those cretinous morons? And why? And I think the simple answer, possibly, is that Davie represented a buffer between him and professional oblivion himself. So he needed
sort of. Let me ask Andrea what she thinks about this. Look, you saw Shah before the Culture Committee yesterday. One of 3 BBC types, but Samir Shah, the chairman, important. He said that he desperately tried to persuade Tim Davie to stay, not to resign. Why? The guy was a keystone cop. Everything he ever did went wrong. Scandal to crisis to scandal to crisis, and he handled every single one of them really, really badly. Why did he say that? He also went on to say the BBC is not institutionally biased. Unless we can get that organisation to admit, to look into the mirror and say, we do have a bias problem, then we're never going to cure the problems of our state broadcaster. Do you agree with me, and I suspect Tarquin, Andrea, that Samir Shah, the chairman, must go?
Oh, completely. And look, Davie was like Teflon, wasn't he? He was taking the heat for
not in the end,
wasn't he? Yeah, but that's what he was. That's why they kept him there. But yeah, of course, the chairman needs to go. You know, all the top levels need to be gone. A fresh sweep and defund it, and let them fight for every viewer and let them fight for every penny, really, and start producing programs that people watch.
Yeah, exactly. It is that they are like trapped in their own sort of bubble, and they will not accept everyone outside the BBC going, you've got a bias problem, you're institutionally anti-Israel, you have a weird way of covering trans issues, climate change, you are absolutists, you're propagandists on climate change, and all of this. Everybody saying it, particularly about the Jewish issue, the way they're anti-Israel, pro-Palestine, and the BBC basically goes, no, don't hear any of that.
And don't forget the gender stuff. I mean, wasn't it the BBC who said 100 genders?
Yeah, I mean, they enshrine that. They enshrine, their climate change. They're basically propagandists on climate change and so on and so forth. They don't. But no matter how many of us scream from the rooftops, experienced observers, commentators, you've got a problem here. They will not listen. And if Samir Shah is going to be a protector and apologist for this nonsense, then he has to go too.
But also, Kevin, when I was a Tory MP, I met with quite a number of Secretary of State's culture secretaries and said it was in the Conservative manifesto to defund it. Why is it not happening?
Yeah.
And it just felt that the culture secretaries were also caught by the blob and wouldn't do it. And, it's got to happen.
Yeah.
Why did the Conservatives not deliver it? I did it with spoke to the last two culture secretaries at least.
Samir Shah says his very important job now is to choose, to help to choose the next Director General. Do we trust Samir Shah to do that job? I don't. What do you think, Andrea?
No, it's like all the public sector. It's tick boxing and getting people who they want.
Yeah, it's right. It's a little cult. It's a little club. Listen, Tarquin, thanks for another great call as always. Andrea, we could do this all night. I got thousands of calls for you, but I'm going to have to move on. What a shame. Dial a Dame is such a smash hit, and always a serious pleasure to have you on the show. Dame Andrea Jenkyns, there, Mayor, Reform Mayor for Greater Lincolnshire, wasn't